I'll check it later. Hello, everybody. How you doing today? Um, it's a little bit better out here today, but still, we have to be worried about the fires going on all around us. So, anyway, the title of the lesson today is Needing Each Other Until the End. So, if we're going to go to heaven, we need the help and encouragement of others. I mean, these others are those who have a like precious faith, people who worship side by side with us, and people who are trying to live according to biblical principles. Now, when we start thinking of judgment, it might be a little strange that while throughout our Christian life we depend upon others and they depend upon us, but when we stand before God in judgment, we will stand alone. And so this is indeed strange, but remember that judgment takes only a moment to happen. Now, if we're faithful, what will happen as soon as we are judged, we will once again rejoin our brethren and all the faithful who ever lived. And of course, we'll be allowed that entrance into heaven. So our dependence upon our brethren is so very important. So I wonder why we spend so much time bickering and backbiting each other in this life. And so probably the reason we do that is because we have lost focus. See, we lose focus upon the fact that God commands his children to be there for each other. And there's more than 70 places in the Bible, in the New Testament, which teach us the importance of one another. See, the one another phrase is always in reference to the saints, to our brethren, to our fellow Christians. And it's not talking about the people of the world. And so we are to love, we're to pray, we're to admonish, we're to edify, we're to care, we're to treat, and a whole host of other things are commanded in God's Word of what we do for each other. And we must not forget that while others are our one another, we must realize that we are someone else's one another. So we receive encouragement from our brethren to live the faithful life. And because we want each other to go to heaven, because I want my brethren to go to heaven, and I will encourage them to live faithful as God's Word specifies. I certainly hope that they want me to go to heaven and will do as they see fit to encourage me to be faithful. So those who are of the world and choose to ignore God and his commands are not interested in heaven and do not care if you or I get there. So sure, everyone wants to go to heaven. We know that's a fact. But their life dictates where their heart lies. And their heart dictates where they're going to end up in eternity. See, Titus 1:16 says they profess to know God, but their deeds deny him. And that's very true. It's true of so many. I mean, they're all out there screaming, oh, we love Jesus, but they won't do what he says. And they ignore what he says. And they basically sometimes refute what he says and say, well, Jesus was just wrong. And I've heard people say that on public television. Jesus was wrong. The apostles were wrong. And, I mean, how can that be if Jesus was the Son of God and Jesus was perfect? So, who is wrong? It's these people. They're the ones that are wrong. So, this is true of so many today. And while we may have compassion for them, they must take the steps to come to God and serve him. We cannot do it for them. And even Paul said that he would gladly trade places with his adversaries if it meant their salvation. But since that's not possible, we can't take someone else's place. I mean, we understand his motivation and his concern. I mean, giving up yourself for someone else, I mean, that's very noble and praiseworthy. And of course, that's what Jesus did. Jesus died for us. But the fact that Jesus was God, he's the only one that could die for us in order to save us. So that should be our attitude as well, to do what we can for others and, if necessary, make a sacrifice for others. Now, when you think about it, our brethren are the only people on earth who care about our souls. I mean, the politicians don't care about your souls. All they care about is votes, or they care about their power. Your coworkers, all they care about is getting the job done. They don't care about your soul. Your neighbors don't care about your soul. And of course, the exception would be if one of your neighbors was a Christian, then yes, they would. And if one of your coworkers was a Christian, yes, they would care about your souls. And who knows? There have been times when Christians actually got voted into office, and so yeah, maybe they might care about your soul, and they would want to do those things that were right. But if Christians do their job, they want to help you get to heaven. And of course, that may come in the form of encouragement, or in some cases may come in the form of chastisements. Now, it's not pleasant. We know that. We read that in Hebrews 12. But if they love us, they will do what is necessary for our soul. And that's the way we should look at every one of our brethren. They all need to be saved, and we realize sometimes they're not living the right kind of life to get them there. So we have to bring that out and point it out. They may hate us. They may call us our enemy. You know, Paul said, "Have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth?" And so we need to, as Ephesians says, speak truth with one another, but speaking the truth in love. So we must be there for each other all the time. And I should know they have my back, and they should know that I have their back. And we should always be ready to offer assistance when they ask. You know, this might be financial assistance, or it may mean helping them study a Bible passage even further so they might understand it more clearly. So there's many ways people can ask for assistance, and so we give them that encouragement. And so sometimes they talk about their struggles at work. Well, we've all had struggles at work, or at least most of us have. And we, through our experience, can explain, well, yes, you can still be a Christian. You can be faithful, even in an environment that's hostile to Christianity. You can still be a faithful Christian. So we need to give that type of encouragement to others. You know, as Christians, our number one focus is always God, as commanded in Matthew 6:33. Seek first his righteousness and his kingdom, and he will provide the means that we need. And so God has already provided all these means that we need to be accepted of him. And those who do his will, those who honor him and obey him, they're the ones who are going to be accepted of him. And so if we are accepted of him, we will be rewarded with a home in heaven. So our focus should be on promoting Christ in this world and sharing Christ with those who need him. And who needs Christ? Well, honestly, everybody needs Christ. And everybody needs Christ in their life. Can you imagine if more people had Christ in their life, what our society would look like? How much better our society would be? So, yes, we need Christ in our life, and we need to share him with as many people as we can. And then assist those people to focus their lives around serving Christ, and that way that'll help them get to heaven. And so we should focus on helping our brethren get to heaven, and hopefully they are working to help me get to heaven. And so these people we have to treat as special, and they need to be treated that way because they're the only ones that really care for your soul. Think about it. You get away from church and look at your circle of friends. You have the people you hang around, you deal with, and you just need to wonder, do they care if I go to heaven or not? Well, there's one way to find out. You can talk to them about heaven and see their reaction. And guess what? If you keep talking about heaven, they're either going to change their ways and start serving God, or they're just going to leave you alone and get away from you. So your friendship, or what you think is your friendship, is really nothing more than what they can get out of you. And so you'll learn that real quick if you try and share Jesus and share the gospel message. All right, so that's our lesson for today. Think about these things. Share this message with others because others need this. Because as Christians, we all need each other all the way up until the end. Because we need the support and the encouragement from each other. Sometimes we need someone to step on our toes and tell us what we need to hear. Sometimes we don't like hearing that from the preacher, and some people complain about a preacher who will do that. But a preacher's just doing their job, trying to help you get to heaven. And if the world is in your way of getting to heaven, he's trying to get you out of that world. And so just remember that when your preacher talks about things that really you think he's stepping on your toes, because you have to realize you really need that lesson if you're uncomfortable with it. And so, yeah, as a preacher, I've seen people get upset about things I've said. I've seen them get very uncomfortable. They start squirming around in their seat, and pretty much they pretty much figured out that I was talking to them. Maybe I was actually focused on another individual, but they came up and realized, okay, I've got this problem too. So anyway, share this message, if you will, with others. And if you have any questions or any comments or any requests of something we can talk about, let me know, and we will address those as they come along. So for now, you have a good day, and Lord willing, we'll be back again tomorrow for another lesson. All right, bye-bye for now.